welcome to Financial Mindfulness, an exclusive webinar on NPS by ICICI Director. Joining us today is a very special guest, Kamalam Venkateshan, Assistant Vice President at NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure. Thanks a ton, Kamalam, for joining us today.
Thank you, Samina.
You're welcome. There's one thing I want to talk to you about, which is the National Pension Scheme. In the last few years, this is one investment product that's gathered so much of attention. And I guess no better time than right now to talk about it, given that it is going to be tax planning and everyone's talking about tax saving. So let's start by telling our audience, what is the National Pension Scheme?
Yeah, you're right, Samina. We usually hear the buzz is all there, NPS. So anyway, I'd like to thank ICICI Direct for giving me this opportunity. I'm very glad to be here to take it forward. To be very frank, NPS actually it was introduced in 2004. So it was the biggest pension reform in India. As everybody knows, initially pension was a term associated with government, and people only working in the government sector they get pension. So that was a term used everywhere around. So government, when the reform was made, the main objective of NPS was to make India a pension society. So the term should not be restricted to one sector or one sect of the population. So the intention was to make NPS, yes, still the government sector will be continued to be covered by the pension, and also each and every citizen of this country should be having a pension for their retirement life. So with that objective, this was made. And basically it was implemented from 2004, wherein all the government employees, central government employees, subsequently various state governments also adopted NPS with different cut-off dates. Joining that service will be covered under the NPS. That was the mandate. So subsequently, to fulfill the objective of this India, to make India as a pension society, this NPS was extended to individuals like you and me from 2009. So what is NPS? So basically NPS is it's a long-term savings revenue to help the people save for their retirement life. So the main motive of it is there should be a social security benefit at the golden years, like when somebody gets retired from their service. So this is the idea behind NPS. Now coming into what is it all about? What it is different from other schemes kind of a thing. So typical NPS is open to any individual. Now I'm just concentrating on private sector because government is anyway covered separately. Any individual in the age group of 18 to 65 years, any citizen of India can join NPS and save for their future. So including a non-resident Indian, that is a NRI, and OCI can also join NPS. So now when at the age of 18, somebody joins the NPS, or like the fresher who's, I can say, okay, 18 is too less age, but they are adult to join the NPS scheme also. They can start serving at a very early age. Because any retirement planning, the main part is that it should consider inflation, and also there should be the benefit of compounding should be there. Taking these two into mind, in NPS, somebody joins at the age of 25. So he has started his career and started earning for his life. So he can join NPS, wherein he can decide how his investments have to be made. See, one of the main objective of this NPS is it's very transparent. The individual subscriber, he himself or she herself decides where their money needs to be invested. So there are multiple pension fund managers who invest funds in NPS, and the accumulation phase is there till 60 years. Wherein during that tenure, the individual can decide where his investment needs to be, and he also has a right to change the schemes like during this tenure based on his understanding of the market also. So this is how this accumulation phase is carried out. And once he reaches the exit phase, where at the time of getting a pension, NPS has a wide different options at the time of exit. So we will come back to it later. And wherein the subscriber can decide whether he wants to exit at the age of 60 or he want to do it at 62, 65, 70. So till 70, a subscriber or an individual who is joining NPS can be there in the system and contribute. And at 70, he is required to exit from the system. So this is in short NPSs.
Kamalam, how does this compare to the other investment products that are offered by the government? And I'm just going to throw this in and ask you, how does this compare to PPF? Because that's the other very popular investment product amongst the salaried class in the private sector.
See, PPF, you all know that is a fixed return instrument.
Yeah.
That is a fixed tenure of 15 years. horizon where which and you can continue, and subsequently also you can continue. But there is a fixed return. See, basic difference you talk about is a fixed return product, and you don't know where is your investment is happening and other things. You invest every year, put some amount. At the end of it, you get a return every year. A return is announced by the government. Subsequently, you get along with your interest. See, NPS to some extent, it is a market-linked product, but it is designed in such a way that it caters to all kind of risk takers. See, when I say investment contribution is invested, the funds are invested in NPS. There are basically three different asset classes are there. So it's a bucket of asset classes. One it is equity, and one it is a corporate debt or a related instruments, and one it is government securities. So it depends upon the person who wants to take what kind of risk. He can decide how his investment has to be. There is a lot amount of flexibility in the investment. So I'm a great taker of risk. So I want to have experiment the market. So I have studied the market to some extent. I can put more money in equity as compared to. No, otherwise I'm very risk averse. I don't want to take risk at all. I can put 100% of the contribution. I can decide in such a way it gets invested in government securities. So it's a total flexibility offered to me. That is one way of looking at it. And considering it is a market link, the returns are also comparatively higher, and with other comparative products. That is what I can.
Obviously,
and one small thing to add to it. And see, in case of NPS, when an individual joins that, he is allotted with an account number called PRAN, Permanent Retirement Account Number. We call it PRAN, whatever it is. You will see a lot of ads around that also. And the PRAN, the very important thing about the PRAN is unique and portable. So it depends. You are not working now. And later on, you may join a particular entity or a corporate where NPS is already there, existing, implemented. Wherever you go, irrespective of which geographical location or within India, abroad, wherever you go or work for your work or everything, the PRAN will continue to be with you. So once you get into the PRAN, you start contributing till you come out of it. You don't have to bother about, because all your accumulations will be made into that single PRAN only. You don't have to come out of it, because one of the things you will understand that in any financial product, continuity of investment or the contribution is different. The moment you break it, then the main benefit of it gets lost. So PRAN gives you that flexibility also, as it is portable, lifelong it will be with you. Wherever you go, it follows you kind of.
Right, a little like children, right? But yes, so it's flexible, it's transparent, and it's regulated, and it's also got higher returns. Those are the key benefits for the sake of your viewers when you talk about NPS. Now let's talk about a little bit more detail about the National Pension Scheme. Help me understand the two investment options one has. I believe one is active and one is automatic. So tell viewers what that is all about. Can you go from one to the other at any time? Is it, or it's once and for all, the decision needs to be made? So help us break that down, please.
Yeah, you're right, Samina. There are two choices at present. As I told you, NPS, one of the important feature of NPS is that you can decide where your money needs to be invested. So just one step backward, I'll take it. In case of NPS, there is an unbundled architecture. So that is like there are fund managers who invest the contribution. There are annuity service providers who gives pension at the time when you exit from the system. There is a CRA who is looking into the central system of the entire NPS architecture. There is a regulator, pension fund regulatory and development authority. So the question comes is why there is an unbundled architecture. So one of the important feature of this unbundled architecture is each entity, the kind of entity who is doing that kind of work, they are specialized. So if you look at CRA is a repository of information. If it's a fund manager, the fund managers are anyway quite efficient in investing the funds, getting a good higher return for the funds getting invested. So this is how in this architecture the entities are placed. So that makes the product a little cost effective also. So when there is more efficiency, the cost structure is also less as compared to other products. So that is one of the thing I want to add to it. And now coming to why I talked about fund managers is they are the one who are investing the contributions of the subscribers. There are total 7 fund managers at present in NPS. So when a subscriber wants to contribute at the time of when he enters the system or he wants to register, he has to decide where his funds, who is a fund manager, who is going to invest his funds. So for example, I select a fund manager. I'm just not naming anyone, I'm just select the fund manager. And the next decision which is upon me is What kind of schemes? As I told you, there are multiple asset classes. There is a equity, there is a corporate debt, there is government securities. Each one is in different risk category. So I am supposed to decide how my money is going to be bifurcated or divided among these asset classes. If I am totally risk conservative, I'll say my 100% will go to government securities, and that is how I invest. But I know the market. I can time the market. If I know that way, I can decide as active choice. So I, on my own, will decide, okay, 50% can the money go to equity, 25% in government securities, which I can decide and I can monitor it also. One is I'm having the time, I'm financially literate enough to do that. Both matters anyway.
Exactly.
So now the second choice is like, okay, I know the fund manager, because that fund manager, I have read about that fund manager, that he has done excellently well in giving the returns. But I don't know what is the asset class I need to choose. So if I am in a dilemma, I cannot decide what is asset class. And I also feel, TK, once I will decide, subsequently, who will monitor that? Then who will get into that? Who will monitor how is it performing? So I decided, okay, let me not get into that at all. It is not my area of it. I will give it to the NPS only to decide. So there is something called life cycle fund, which is also called auto choice, wherein based on the age of the subscriber, the asset class is predefined, and the asset class gets changed every year, depends on the next age of the subscriber. For example, my date of birth is 4th October. So now I have selected this is my age is 35-36 years, and my asset class is 50, 25, 25. And on its own, when I become the next year, 37 years, system will rebalance my portfolio. My investment percentage will reduce in equity. So 50% will become 47%, and my investment in G and C will increase. So this is in short about the auto choice. And within that also there are multiple options. For example, in auto choice, there are 3 choices available you have. Even then, because even within auto choice, somebody will have the feeling, okay, let me have a little more equity investment. So in that way, there is a life cycle, aggressive fund, moderate fund, and as a conservative. In case of conservative, the maximum equity investment is only 25%. If it is moderate, then it can go up to 50% based on your age. And if it is aggressive, maximum up to 75%. This is how auto choice works. Active choice, it's all decision is yours. But even in active choice, see, basically it is a pension product. So nobody wants at the time of exit, you should be eroded with your money. The corporate should be there to give you enough pension. So that is everybody's intention or the objective. Be it is a government or the PFRDA, be it individual as an individual, I like to do. Though I want to take a risk, still I may feel that it has to be some amount of corpus I will expect at the end of the tenure of this NPS. So there are certain restrictions, like in equity, maximum we can go up to 75%. That too until 50 years. After that, if you want active, you are still in active choice, but still if you are 52, 53 years, the percentage in equity maximum at what you can select goes down. Now, once you have selected, yes, the fund manager is selected, and you have decided I'm going for active choice or I'm going for auto choice. Then it is so flexible, you have the option to change it once in a financial year. In a sense, you can change the fund manager once in a financial year, and you can change this auto or active choice, or it is a scheme preference percentage twice in a financial year. So it is up to you to decide.
So it really acts like your financial planner in terms of asset allocation and risk planning as well. But I think most of our audience must be waiting for this question. Tell us, what are the tax benefits here? That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I know. So to be very frank, any financial product, basically, it's across the world everywhere, but in India specific, the first thing, it is not like I'm also accepted for that. The first question in my mind is, will I get tax benefits? That is very natural, triggering question out of it. And see, and to be very frank, retirement planning as such, if you consider for something as retirement plan, though we feel tax benefit should not be a primary objective to decide it. But yes, NPS do have multiple tax benefits. So one is that we all know, like under ATC, you get up to 1,50,000 under various buckets, like your insurance, housing loan, your PF comes into that. Under that ceiling of 1,50,000, you can claim tax benefit for NPS, which is normal ATC tax benefit. The limit is the overall ceiling is 1,50,000 and NPS ke liye that's a separate ceiling. It is up to 10% of your basic and salary and DA. So that is how that is capped. In addition to it, the most important benefit, tax benefit from NPS is under 80CCD 1B section, you will get 50,000 exclusively for NPS. So if you really look at it, okay, if just as an example, or we can say ideal thought of it, that I don't have a housing loan or housing loan is over. I don't have any insurance because I put more money in my market. So I don't have any of the products in ATC, wherein I claim tax benefit. So what happens if I put 2 lakh rupees in NPS? I can claim 1,50,000 subject to 10% of my income, whatever it is, under ATC, and additional 50,000 I can claim under 80CCD 1B. So both together for 2 lakh rupees I can claim the tax. In addition to it, the most important feature is like, the tax benefit I was talking about is for the self contribution as an individual, how much I'm contributing, and that too under the pension scheme. And there is another aspect to the tax benefit wherein if my employer contributes for me, then whatever the amount my employer is contributing, subject to 10% of my basic and salary, it is exempted. But there is no ceiling as such, the amount is confirmed. So that is also exempted from my taxable income. So these are the 3 main tax benefits you can look at it. See, I just wanted to add one thing to it, which I missed it in the first part to it. See, under NPS, one of the important features is we have both accounts, Tier 1 and Tier 2 account. Right? So Tier 1 is the pension account where I talked about there is an accumulation phase and where you exit. Basically, you are saving for your pension. So the same platform, to use the same platform, there is an option called Tier 2. So one of the prerequisites for holding a Tier 2 account is you should have a Tier 1 account. So basically, if you are saving for pension, yes, you also will have an option to go for a Tier 2 account, which is a pure investment account, wherein you can invest the same NPS platform and you can withdraw also whenever you want to invest. And there is no minimum requirement of so much amount to be there in the balance in the Tier 2 account. It's a purely voluntary account. So whatever the tax benefits we talked about, it is restricted to Tier 1 account. So the amount what you are contributing for Tier 2 account does not qualify for any tax benefit because it's purely voluntary and it's withdrawable.
Right, so we've of course talked about investing into the NPS. Now help me understand what is the exit norms. Is there any penalty that happens? Do you have to, can you only exit at retirement, which is 60 or 60 plus, like you said? Can you do a part withdrawal before your retirement age? And do you get penalized, more importantly? So just help our viewers understand that as well. How accessible is that money?
Yeah, sure, Samir. Actually, to be NPS is, as I said, it's very flexible in all its, even at the time of entry, your accumulation phase of investment, even the exit is very flexible. One is, see, any pension product has to be a long horizon. So it's a long term. And there should be definitely a lock-in period. Otherwise, like you end up withdrawing everything at the end, you don't have anything. The objective is not met. So NPS as such, the Tier 1 account. So when we are now talking about Tier 1 account, which is a pension account, the exit by default, I'm talking about private sector wherein the individual subscriber is contributing. He can be there in the system till 70 years. Auto, there is nothing like any, which will tell him, okay, after 60, you want to give a request or something kind of thing. You can be there in the system till 70 years. But at the age of 60, you have the option to exit. So what is the exit option available? So once you attain 60 years, so you can take 60% of the amount as lump sum and 40% you have to mandatorily annuitize for getting the pension. But even then, there are certain options associated to it. For example, see, at the age of 60, you feel, no, this is not the time I need. Anyway, you continue to be there in the system till 70. You have the capacity to contribute also. Or if you decide, no, I don't want to contribute, but by my corpus, let it be there in the NPS platform. Let it grow, let the wealth get accumulated. I will plan it when I want to withdraw. So it is my own option. So I didn't do anything at 60. Then 64, 65, I feel, okay, it's the right time I to come out of the system. So that also I can do. Or at the age of 60, I decide, okay, let me start my annuity, at least 40% of the amount I'll get a monthly income. But the other purpose, let it be there. I don't require any lump sum now. I have my other sources. I can plan that way also. That is one of them. So this is once you attain the 60 years. So this is the option. So you can just defer it, or you can defer along with that, you can contribute. It's all flexible. But now before 60, what happens before 60? If you want to come out of the system before 60. So for example, even if you want to come out at the age of 50 years, Okay, so what you, the option is they call it 80-20. 80% of the amount needs to be annuitized. 20% you can take it as a lump sum. So if it is your 10 lakh is a corpus, so it's like 8 lakh and 2 lakhs. This is how 2 lakhs you can take it out, and 8 lakhs you will give the annuity. And the moment you do the annuitization, from the next month onwards, your annuity monthly income starts from it. There is no reason that, okay, you buy the annuity and you wait till you become 60 to get annuity. It is not that. So immediately the next month, your annuity process will also start. And another part to it is, you talked about withdrawal. One more option is about the conditional withdrawal in NPS. So there is a lock-in period, as I said, till 60 it is all locked in. But still, during that accumulation phase, you want money for some specific purposes. Like in other products also it is available, right? So you, for housing loan, house construction or marriage of your children or for your higher education, you can withdraw from your own contribution. But for that, minimum you have to be there in the system for 3 years. Subsequently, the option gets open, and the option is like 25% you can withdraw at any point of the time,
Right.
and maximum 3 times in the tenure of being there in the NPS. In that, there are 2 more things to add to it. So if I said at the age of 60 or 70 when you are exiting, 40, 60 is that kind of a thing. But your corpus is less than 2 lakh, 100% you can take the amount.
Right.
Similarly, when you are less than 60 and at the age of 50, as I said, 80-20 comes into picture, 80% annuitization. But if you feel you have the corpus is very less, it's only 1 lakh, the entire amount can be taken out of the system. So this is in short about the difference.
That was awesome talking to you, Kamalam. Thanks for breaking this down for us. This is definitely an investment product, retirement product that none of us can ignore, with all its advantages that you put out there for our viewers. But thank you very much. Thank you for the insight. It was great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samina. So I'll just request the viewers, the queries you have, there may be many more queries in people's mind about NPS. So we have, NSDL has our own NPS Ki Pathshala, that is a YouTube channel. So a lot of videos about this queries on NPS is also being made available. So if they can view, that is also be better.
Thank you for that insight. Have a great day. Thank you.